Trending is brought to you by the Bahamas Adventist Book and Nutrition Center, located on Tonic Williams Darling Highway.
Hey guys, welcome to Young and Trending here on Word SBC 88.3 FM, where we aim to be bold, be true, and be heard. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Pastor Nasa.
And guess what, guys? We're in season 8.
Can you believe it?
8 whole seasons.
You been here that long?
8
Mercy.
seasons, but they haven't gotten us out of here yet.
No, we got more to go.
That is
And thanks for coming along for the
crazy.
ride.
Yes, thank you so much to our faithful listeners and supporters, all of you who send in a good word and say, wow, I really enjoy listening to your show. You know, it's very good to know that our ministry in this way is being impactful.
Definitely.
Yeah, so in season 8 so far, we've been really focusing on community, and our topic today is it's the third place. The third place. Okay, and many of you may not know what a third place is. You might not have heard of that concept before, but I don't know if some of you know, I am a sociology buff. I love sociology. I love any conversation around that and public things to do with like just public well-being and how we interact with each other as a society and the ramifications of that. I'm blabbering on. Anyway, but in sociology, there's this concept of a third place or a third space,
Not
which
to be
is
confused with third place in a race.
yeah, no. No.
Yeah, you'll explain it.
Right. But this is a social environment now that is separate from home and work. So in sociology, you know that some foundational institutions that everybody encounters is home and work. Or school.
Mm-hmm.
And in our specific culture, church is also another one of them, because there are some cultures where like religion isn't really, or church isn't really a huge cemented part of their culture. However, here in the Bahamas, like church, the institution of church would be seen as an institution in our society,
Okay.
right? And a third space is anything outside of that. So it's a place where people can go, relax, hang out with friends, where they feel comfortable and happy. These spaces are neutral grounds where people are because they want to be. So they're there because they want to be there. They're not there out of obligation, out of having to go there for their livelihood, and where economic and social status usually does not matter. These places encourage relaxation, and they facilitate social interaction with people. So they also facilitate conversation. These third spaces are essentially safe spaces for people to be able to go to.
Okay. So, I mean, this is interesting when we talk about these third places. Not to be confused with third place in the race, but the home being the first place, and then school or work, and in some societies, church, possibly being the second place. What kind of places fit this category? We think of things like coffee shops, tea shops.
Clubs, community centers, the gym,
YMCA, if you have it.
If you have that where you are. Do we
Where
have a
you are.
YMCA?
No, we don't have YMCA. We just have the park. You have the basketball courts and the football fields, softball fields.
So parks, stoops, which actually is your front porch or your back porch, your backyard, where community comes together.
Or for our context, the blocks sitting on the corner.
On the corner.
That's
Under
true.
the tree.
Under the tree, right? Under the tree.
All these different stuff.
Yeah.
Like it could be the tuck shop in the morning.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, the little breakfast
Right.
joint. All of these places where people congregate, you get
Yeah.
to see your neighbors, your friends. By the way, church still,
And
although
church-
I said it's an institution, it still can also be a third space.
Yes, church, right.
And something that a lot of experts are a little bit worried about is now I don't want to say the lack of third spaces, but we are kind of moving away from having third spaces, right? And we've been kind of focused on the breakdown of community and how that's influencing our society. And a really big aspect of that is the loss of these third spaces. Whether that be because now we're too busy, there's so much traffic, whether we're more self-absorbed, we don't want to leave the house, we don't want to, or we are less inclined to cultivate relationships like with our neighbors, whether that be we're literally in fear of our life, so we're not sitting out on the porch.
Hey, it's just true.
Myriad of reasons as to why now some of these spaces where our grandparents, used to gather and talk back in the Bible, the men used to be by the village gates and the women used to be by the well, right? These are third spaces.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess then that would lead us then to talk about why is it important and why are these third places important? Because people generally didn't think in these terms, but why are they necessary or important in the first place? What do we get from them?
So one of the biggest things from that is a safe space, one. And also, they used to be a sounding board of sorts. So especially for young people, I think a lot of young people or people who grew up with older people, oh goodness, so I get myself in trouble. Older people would know how a lot of the opinions that they formed, first interactions they had with politics or things happening around the world was around the dinner table, or where all their family came together, had a barbecue, or whatever the case may be, hearing the grown-ups talk, right? And that sort of environment as to where people had differing opinions, but it was usually, and I'm saying this because you can't speak absolutely, usually in a setting where everyone's opinions were heard. Sometimes there was some that doesn't make any sense, you sound silly, but done out of love, conversation was flowing and you had the safe space to do so, to develop your thoughts, develop your opinions, become a better speaker, develop how to talk with people of the opposite sex, how to interact with other people as well, older than you, younger than you, being in spaces where everyone around you isn't the same. Okay.
So it sounds like then it was good for social interactions then, for people to develop those skills and build community, we started to talk about, build and a sense of belonging. I also see how it could be beneficial too in terms of mental health, because then, we talk about all the time, how not just having an echo chamber or just you alone with your own thoughts. Right? You could have a place to relax and socialize and get your thoughts out and get feedback. And so I believe that's also a mental strength to have when you have those spaces.
To that point, also having of it being good for your mental health, having somewhere to go. You're not stuck in your house all day. You're not going somewhere out of obligation, I have to get up and go to work. No, you're getting up to go somewhere that you enjoy. Food stores. For some people, the food stores are third space. They go at the same time every week. They buck up the same people. They take their time. They enjoy. They stand up there my Grammy. Oh my goodness, she stand up there by the peas, find somebody to talk to, and just have a time. But you meet different people, you interact, you laugh at the cute babies in the store, and then it's a lovely day. You go home and you had your outing, you were out in life, and you go back home. That also could be really good for your mental health as well.
And then also this last one here too, it helps, I think, with civic engagement as well, because now you're being exposed to what's happening in society even more, and so now you're concerned about what's happening down the road with the school. You're concerned what's happening with the community center. You're concerned about the government more because you're hearing people giving their views, their opinions. You have your own thoughts, and it's spurring you on to more interest because you're engaging with these conversations even more.
And that same concept of an echo chamber outside of your own mind, also you could have an echo chamber with the people that you're around.
Yeah, for sure.
And so every single person around you thinks the same, which is why third spaces are outside of work, outside of home, because usually, this is not always the case, but usually your family kind of has the same values and viewpoints about things, usually. Yeah. And then also people who are working, y'all working on the same job, especially if you're in a younger demographic, you work in a younger place, usually y'all a little bit more progressive, you might have the same ideals, or you might not talk to your coworkers at all.
That's true.
So you might not even know, or not interested in having that relationship with them to get into talking about these issues at all. But that's getting true. Outside of the echo chamber surrounding you, and go ahead.
I was just going to say that even the Bible encourages third places, right? You know, because, you know, in Hebrews 10, it talk about, you know, not forsaking the assembling of the brethren. You know, like even the Bible encourage you to say, hey, go and meet the other people, get out your house, leave work, go around some other brethren, because, you know, it's going to motivate you towards more love and to do more good deeds. And you're going to be able to encourage one another. So you even have that opportunity to spiritually benefit from having the third place. So, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff to be had from engaging in these third places.
There's a lot of good stuff. Of course, we know that diversity isn't always like the first and foremost perk to a safe space, because we know people gravitate towards like-minded people, and so and usually are friends with people who have the same ideals or viewpoints about certain things. What we have noticed, though, is there hasn't really been an eradication of third spaces altogether. However, third spaces have migrated online. They're now online.
Okay.
And some people feel
online
as if
where?
Anywhere. Forums, Twitter, TikTok.
Okay. The chat comments. You know,
Yes.
y'all can leave a comment in the chat.
Please do. Drop a comment.
You want a
Drop
third
a
place
comment
with you.
down below. And there's a very interesting thing there, because it's not an inherently bad thing. You know, social media, or the internet, I guess I would say, also has opened us up to access to so many other people, to loved ones far away, to community in a different way, for people who have trouble. To people who have trouble with interacting with people face to face in real life, them being able to now foster and build a community of their own in a way that they're more comfortable with. So there are some things that are really good. However, I love to talk about this. Sorry. Transitioning this third space online kind of also put us in a little bit of a weird position, where now we have people who lack that accountability, understanding that actions have consequences, who surround themselves, even on social media now, in an echo chamber. People who I think critically think a little bit less. That's just my personal opinion. People might disagree. But also, there's something there. And I was telling Manassa off air about how, you know, probably back in the olden days, I don't know, this is just what I imagine. If you had someone who just was just off, like their opinions were just off. I'm not talking about, you know, going against the grain and being creative and, you know, being your own person. Absolutely not. But some things that are just, you hear it and you're like, why would you say that? In regular, normal third spaces, you know, you would not say that out loud, because everybody around you would look at you like, why would you say that? Like, you can't say that to another person. We call some of these people keyboard warriors. You know?
Yeah.
You see them on Facebook, you see them on Twitter, you see how they reply to people, and you're like, if this was real life, something would probably happen to you.
Yeah, there would be consequences.
There would be consequences for your actions. You know, in real life, honestly, we don't, well, a lot of people don't run on at people in real life, because I don't know you. And there is, I mean, we don't want to say it like that, but there is a threat of real life violence,
personal right consequence, right? You know, like you say, someone, they'll get tired of talking and then they'll probably try to talk with something else. So
yeah,
that's something that people think of. They don't want to say it, but they think about it in the back of their mind. I'm gonna go so far.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of decorum.
Right, there is unrestraint, self-control.
But on social media, like, you know, where nobody's there to hold you accountable,
insulated.
You have that wall between you. And then what's also a little bit scary is you, on social media, because we connect with so many people, you then lend credibility to whatever it is you're saying, because of course there are going to be people who agree with you. So you find yourself within your own echo chamber. You might have thousands of followers. Somebody stumble across your account. They see all your followers and like, oh, that's a credible person. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. And if you're in real life, everybody around you would be like, that sounds so insane. Or that is such a horrible thing to say about people. Why would you say that? But online,
you kind of,
you're free to go. You're free to say whatever, and you're getting all of that reinforcement from people who believe like you. And in real life, in a real society, sometimes, you have people who are older than you be like, hey, that's not how it works, or hey, this is another perspective as well. You would kind of have this buffer, this sounding board, this like gentle, well, sometimes it's not gentle, but correction, into which you still have the space to voice your opinions and be heard, but also shape them as you move along.
And that's why it's important, at least, well, in some spaces online, they have moderators who try to watch the chat, and they could suspend your account or even ban you in certain instances. But there are more and more increasingly more places now where there's no moderation, and so people just say the craziest things that come to their mind. But again, it's one of the things that come with having those third places where so many people from different backgrounds are coming together. And so for the budding Christian, or even you can be older Christian now, like what's the place for us? What's the necessity for us with these third places? I think about it, mentioned earlier, spiritual growth. You can iron sharpen iron. There could be some things you're wrestling with, you're thinking about, and just coming to a place where we going to eat together, or we going to play some ball together, one of those safe environments. That's a third place. We could talk about some ideas.
Right.
And then now it's like, oh, I was thinking this, but you thinking that, and now that's making me think about this in another way. And iron sharpen iron type of way.
Like a very common example of that is like socials or
socials,
rap sessions, or even like potluck lunch by somebody's house outside of like the church building, where you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
And I remember growing up, you'd have like somebody's parents or somebody there who was close to the young people, who would kind of like not oversee the conversation, but be there in case any questions or whatever arise. But they let us talk and voice our opinions and whatever, and they gave their input, but we had a space to say what it was we were thinking.
Right. Ask you questions.
And sometimes you need to hear how that sound out loud.
Hey, sometimes, and you need to see the look on people's faces when you. I mean, you try to be respectful to people, but you sometimes need to hear like, hold on. So it wasn't quite as sensible as I thought it was.
Maybe
people
didn't come out how that was.
It wasn't. There's something up with what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You need that a little bit, but that's good. It helps you, so spiritually it could help you, as well as it could help you for the young Christian to build community. Like you could have more Christian friends. You could be exposed to people. I tell people all the time, I used to tell a lot of young people, go and visit other churches. Don't just stay in your church. Like you go and visit the other AY, another social, so that you get to see who's out there. You get to meet more people. You get to be engaged with more thoughts, and you may get exposure that could take you even beyond where you are right now. Where you go?
I was gonna say, no, something that I talk about all the time is like camp.
Oh
and
man, in the Bahamas we have
camp meeting.
Oh, camp meeting as well.
At least as a young person, we used to take that time to just like see friends we hadn't seen in forever, talk, catch up.
You never saw. You meeting them for the first time.
And we would look forward to going to these stuff because either everybody was outside or we were hanging out, and again, like-minded Christians from all over, and that interaction that we don't normally get at our regular church, at our regular home. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's what it's for.
And then also like what you mentioned too, for young Christians, older Christians, it acts as a place also for encouragement and accountability. So again, you may be a Christian, but you may have some thoughts and some ideas and concepts that may be wild. And for you to
we know all about that.
Right. We talk about for the believers now. Yes. You may have some thoughts, ideas that's still wild, right? And by you sharing it in those environments, you get to be, oh, really?
Like Young and Trending, this radio show on air, this is not a third space.
What you mean?
Off air is a third space. No.
What you mean?
There are a lot of things that we would not
to be
say.
Bold, be true, and be heard.
Let me know that Manasseh Cleo. There's things we would never utter on this
man.
mic. Ever.
That's why we're going to be taking it on the road too, so y'all can join in for those conversations.
Hey, and that will be a third space.
Which leads me to my next transition then, of finding and creating your third place. Because sometimes someone may say, hey, I don't have a third place that I go. My head ball, so I don't go to the barber shop. I don't know how to play ball, so I don't go to the park. Like I just order food and it's come to me. Like what I'd say that is we have some points here on finding and creating your third place. The first one I'd say is identify existing third places.
Yeah.
So try to find places in your community, wherever you may be, that has a community already. So for some people, it may be, some people like go to Starbucks and just sit down. They order and they sitting down and you're like, why you don't just grab your cup and go? Because they want to chill out.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I was at Starbucks with some guys and we were having like a little meeting, just chilling out and talking. And then this guy behind us heard our conversation and he came around and he sat down and we just started talking, we introduced and it's like, boom. So find these places, a good place, like I say, for those who are listening, try the church. The church has many programs outside of just the divine worship portion that you could get engaged with. Community services, something, socials, AYs, camping, youth activities. There are a lot of things. So find places that exist.
I also want to say at the risk of this becoming a different conversation, but a lot of times, even within the church, the third spaces are, like I was saying earlier, people's homes or just events that are outings that people are having outside of church. Some of the best conversations, revelation revealing, like heart lifting things and things that I've encountered when it came to church weren't actually in a church service on a Sabbath or a Sunday.
For sure.
They were like with people, like, people who probably wouldn't have the courage to extend that relationship or open their mouth to even say these things in that forum. Hence why they want to get outside of that.
Right.
Someplace where they are relaxed, comfortable. So also fostering relationships that can lead to a third space is also very important.
Very. I agree. And so not only just identifying the third places, then look to create some. Like you mentioned, open your home to say, hey, we're going to have some people over. Make a third place. We're going to come over every week, every other week. We're going to play some dominoes or something like that. Eat some chips and drink some Kool-Aid or whatever you want. Drink the fruit juice of your preference. And, like make a new space, create, start up a weekly exercise group and y'all go to the gym. That's what I started. I started I go to the gym weekly, and now I invite people to come, and a lot of time we talking and chilling out and laughing throughout the exercise that have nothing to do with exercise, right? So you could create one, create a new Bible study group, young people. You could a part of how I got into ministry now was from joining a third place where a group of young people decided to come together to study the Bible. And we was chilling out having fun, but that started me on this journey where I'm a full-time pastor.
Amen.
Right? So, don't look down. Like, you could do something yourself to create that third place. And then you could find a balance between digital and physical spaces. So we're not saying disregard. You could have chat rooms and forums, and for the gamers out there, you have the game rooms. You could find places where you could create these places.
Yeah, balance. So, we already talked about practical steps, as in having people over, which again, tailor these for you. You may not be the most outgoing person. You may not like people in your space. So, if that means that you may not create your own third space in your home, that's okay. But tailor it for you. The underlying thing is it's important for everybody, I think, to have a space in which they can go to, in which they can feel safe, in which they can relax, in which they can have some sort of community. Because again, no man is an island.
No man.
As much as society right now tries to push that individualism on us and dog eat dog and every man for themselves, and I got to get there before, nobody looking out for you, it's just you. Like, no, we I said this on our other show, like, I believe we were built to have community. We were built to love. We were built to entertain and foster these relationships with each other.
Definitely.
They make life so much richer. And I would say, again, like we said about balancing digital and physical third spaces, I have met and have very close friends to me who are online, and I've probably
I got a lot.
Several of them I've never met, and a few of them I've only met like once, but have become close, text, call, like shared in each other's like big life moments. And I think that the internet is just one of the wonders of the world that can be used for good, bad, neutral. However, that's just something that I think is incredibly amazing. However, it is really a plus and really good to also be able to foster and build these relationships in real life with persons as well.
Definitely. And then conversely, the necessity for the person-to-person interactions. Like, it's good when you learn how to relate to people in real time, in person. It helps your interpersonal skills. It helps you even when you're looking for a career. Helps you even in terms of like relationships. It helps you in terms of like your professionalism. Like, it really engages certain aspects of you when you put yourself in places where there's no regard necessarily for your background. You are you, and you're accepted as you, and you can present yourself as you, but you learn how to be you amongst others. And it's like, it's a beautiful dynamic when we have these steps in place.
So there's this beautiful text in Acts 2, verse 46 to 47, and it's referencing the early church, which anything about the early church to me, I just think is amazing, because that was truly a community in every aspect of the word.
Yeah.
They didn't just focus on this, like the spiritual aspect, but they also met each other's needs. They fed and all these different stuff. And it says, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So almost inversely, this also is a form of witness.
Definitely.
And it was a ministry in and of itself.
Definitely.
Being this community, providing this community, or being a part of this community as well. But guys, what I want to take with us today is just continuing to foster that mindset, or continuing to seek, if you don't have already, that space in which you can be comfortable and have somewhere to go to. And guess what? If you are listening to this and you could think of like 3-4 safe spaces that you have, third spaces, consider inviting somebody into your space. Not really if you don't want to.
Create
but
one.
Also just becoming a safe space for people if ever they decide to turn to you and, want to reach out or want to meet up, interact, open yourself up to that. You never know. That person may end up being a safe space for you.
There you go.
In the future. That's been all you've been listening to, Young and Trending, at Red SBC 88.3 FM.
Hey.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Pastor Nasa.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Young and Trending was brought to you by the Bahamas Adventist Book and Nutrition Center, located on Tonic Williams Darling Highway.